Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So here I'm standing here as the Prime Minister of the government team. Then I will talk about today's motion that this House would disallow the practice of instantaneously naturalizing foreign athletes to serve a national sports team. But before that, I'll talk about the definition of this motion. Well, it's already clear that about this instantaneously naturalizing word. So I'll jump to that this motion means that the government will start to disallow the practice of instantaneously naturalizing these foreign athletes who came to that country to serve a national sports teams. And that's what I am as the government team will take anything that will support this motion. So along with the appearance of this motion, we conquer a problem that we have to face within this motion. The first one is the government itself nowadays is not focusing on training of local athletes when they are likely want to naturalizing these foreign athletes. And second, gaining achievement is a reason for the government to naturalizing these foreign athletes, and gaining achievement and when they will gain an achievement, that achievement won't sustain in a long time. And the third one, the problem that we conquer here, that these foreign athletes couldn't stand long within that country, and they only being used only by the governments to gain particular reason like gaining achievement in competition, when it's not like they are going to be a long-term player that could share experience or another effect to the local play athletes within that country. So here I am as the Prime Minister of the government team. I would like to achieve an ideal condition where this government could start on focusing on training these local athletes within that country and gain sustained achievement by that, rather than doing instantaneously naturalizing these foreign athletes to serve a national sport teams, especially in that country, of course. So today in this debate, I'll talk about if we disallow this practice of instantaneously naturalizing these foreign athletes, is it kind of a good way to do rather than allowing this practice? So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So let me start to talk about my point of argument. Okay, before I talk the first one, this statement, I'll talk about the statement that this government naturalizing foreign athletes for their purpose. And why we can agree with that statement? Because the first one, sport is a place to build relationship, not to gain achievement. So here, the existence of sport is a way to communicate each other by doing sports. When people can talk directly, but they can communicate each other by doing this sport. This sport exists to build a strong tie between the country in this world. A sport is a way to communicate to each other. Then why nowadays the government, the countries within this world, there's a lot of countries who are likely perceiving that sport is only about gaining achievement. That's the problem here. So I would like to say that if it's only to gain achievement, then this practice of instantaneously naturalizing is somewhat unfair to another country. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because if the government just only using these foreign athletes and they are instantaneously naturalizing them so that they can play in that country, it's unfair because they are just using them for this particular reason like competition. And it's not like they are from that country itself, they are foreign. So let me talk about this. Basically, the government itself is like borrowing a player from another country and then let them pretend like they are natural from that country, and then they are just playing within that country. They just play for that country so that the country itself gain an achievement when it's not unfair to another country, which actually, if we want to compete in a sport, we have to show our local pride by using local athletes from this country itself. That's the problem here. So my first argument is that I can agree with this motion because the sport is I can agree with the government allowing this range because sport is a place to build relationship, not to gain achievement. And the second one, how good if we as the government would disallow this practice? Okay, so the second point of my argument is because it will maximize the quality of the athletes within the country itself. Okay, so firstly, I have statement that if the government itself hiring the foreign athletes in another country, it's like they are just borrowing their power, their strength, their skills, just for they play for the country to gain a particular reason, like gaining achievement in a particular competition. Okay, and when they are getting old, they are not likely want to teach the local athletes within that country, because the contract is actually made between them just about they have to play in that country for a particular competition. So that's it. The local athletes here is not maximized in training, and then the government itself don't want to touch them. They don't want to train them. They are just like deciding an alternative path by naturalizing foreign athletes to play in that country so that they can gain achievement more easily by that. So this is it. If we disallow this practice, then government should more focus on how to train to improve the quality of the player inside their country itself. Because of what? Because if the athletes in that country itself is already skilled enough compared to another country, then what if they win the competition? It will give the country itself a more pride of the country itself, because if they win the competition, it means that they are 100% win that competition by the power of the country, of the athletes of that country itself. And then it could be something that that can sustain in a long time. So that's I mean by a long-term achievement, because it's from our country itself. And then that's my point of argument. But by first one, the sport is a place to build relationship, not to gain achievement. And the second one, it will if we disallow this practice, it will maximize the quality of the athletes within the country itself. So my solution here, rather than allowing this practice, we would like to train the local local athletes to abroad academy, or we are likely want to hire foreign trainer, coach to maximize our athletes within our country. And that's it. Thank you.